We need to develop our research system within the universities. We need to combine the system of National Academy of Sciences and the system of higher education. And of course, we need to cut the number and increase the quality of our university.
Now, I don't know if he helped destroy one of the first statues of Vladimir Lenin, but it was an early one.
Yes.
Kyiv-Mohyla Academy, one of our best universities in the nation and with a great reputation. How do you finance? Because we're a poor nation, as we all know.
First of all, better example, I think, for Ukraine, not American system of higher education, but Canadian system maybe. We already have some politicians who understand the importance of, change the mind concerning, the purpose, the goal of educational system in Ukraine.
So I start today. This is Brian Bonner, host of Hromadske Radio's Ukraine Calling program. We have a great one today. We have a living legend in the educational establishment, Sergei Kyiv. He is the president of Kyiv-Mohyla Academy, longtime president, and former education minister of Ukraine. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Brian. I'm glad to see you.
And he is the author of this book, which I just got done reading this week, called Media, History, and Education. Highly recommend it. It's a riveting romp through Ukrainian history in all of its facets, so all the way up to the present day. So here we are, third year of a full-scale war. How has that affected, damaged education generally, aside from buildings?
It damages Ukrainian education, but you know that full-scale war started just after the
COVID pandemic.
Pandemic.
We're still recovering.
That is why we actually have a lot of years, about 5 or 6 years, damaging of our education system, particularly higher education. We have a lot of problems. Our community and a lot of, I believe, communities of other Ukrainian universities scattered, across the world. And we have a lot of problems and challenges, but at the same time, we at Kyiv-Mohyla Academy try to look at such challenges as new opportunities too. For instance, Kyiv-Mohyla Academy, from the very beginning of full-scale war, established a special international project which we called Kyiv-Mohyla Global Academy. It means we think that we establish our international campuses in Northern America and Western Europe. Of course, we don't have any property on those countries, but at the same time, we have very close collaboration with some universities, particularly in Northern America. It's University of Toronto. It's two German universities. In Great Britain, it's University of Glasgow. Some university in France, and some more. We have more and more new friends, new close partners. Among international, universities, and we have a lot of new opportunities too. This project includes our office of Kyiv-Mohyla at those universities, our office, exchange programs for teachers and students, and also, common research groups. And finally, we try to publish results of their research activities. And the first book of such results will be published at Toronto University Press next year.
You have so many interesting experiences, and for those who may not know, he comes to his anti-Soviet, anti-Russian imperialism from childhood, pretty much. Yeah. Sees nothing good in the Russian culture and nothing to emulate. I don't know if he helped destroy one of the first statues of Vladimir Lenin, but it was an early one.
Yes, it was when I was a student at the university, student of the Faculty of Journalism of Taras Shevchenko University in Kyiv. I believe maybe it was in 19 1989 or 1990. I destroyed the statue of Lenin, which we have inside of our building, of our faculty. Yeah, it was.
And your accomplice was your dean, right?
Yes. Together, deputy dean. With deputy dean. Yeah, and you remember this story, interesting story about the deputy dean, because during his life, he hated, communists. At the same time, he was a member of Communist Party. It was quite common in the Soviet period of time.
You had to be alone,
it was the opportunity to him to show his attitude, to communists and Russian imperialism. And he asked me, to bring the statue to the basement. I didn't know why I should do this, but he asked me as I was an activist at the time. We as active students established all the first organizations, the faculty and within the university, and finally we destroyed the statues. Yeah.
Thank God. Yes. Yeah. Gave the excuse you were taking it out for washing, and it never returned.
Yeah.
And that, I think, crystallizes what you've tried to do as education minister and throughout your career. You wrote about it in the book to make a complete break from the Soviet past in terms of education, or a near complete break. And the reason is you want us to have academic quality, academic independence, and so that a degree here matters. It's respected as the Bologna process is, which is integration of.
But the core idea was the comprehensive university autonomy,
right?
Which includes, at least financial autonomy, academic autonomy, and organizational autonomy. Unfortunately, until now, we don't have financial autonomy, but all our universities have, full academic autonomy, like American universities, for instance, but they can't capitalize their achievements because they still don't have financial autonomy. It means our state still, controls financial life of our universities, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
And we're not able to push through that change when you're education minister. By the way, the Kyiv Post named you the best reformer.
Of 2015.
Thank you so much. Yes. For your efforts in
2014.
2015, our 20th anniversary. That was a great party. Financially, it can't be good now for education because all of our available money, or a lot of our available money, is going to the war.
But I think we, mustn't grumble, because of the circumstances of this full-scale war, of course. But at the same time, my point is that we faced, of course, new problems related to the war. But at the same time, it's just there is no new problems. All of them, were borrowed from the post-Soviet time. I mean, from the very beginning of our independence, we didn't change our system completely. First of all, about what I mentioned about financial life of our universities, and currently, we can organize the educational process. We do this. We have research. We have new great projects, but we don't have financial autonomy. It means. It's absolutely ridiculous.
But how do you get that? How do you finance? Because we're a poor nation, as we all know. And I wouldn't say, I know the American educational system has many achievements, but, education, to be good, it needs to be universal and accessible to most of the public.
Yeah.
Now we have Vanderbilt made headlines, the first university that charges $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
And as you know, you've studied in America too, postgraduate. People are coming out of there with debt, huge, life crippling debt. And at the same time, here, on the other hand, I still hear from students that my degree is not worth anything wherever I am. Is that true? What is the right mix? Are we starting to get the respect internationally for the education that we have, or is it just still mixed?
First of all, better example, I think, for Ukraine, not American system of higher education, but Canadian system maybe, because I believe that all Canadian universities are public,
Right.
In Ukraine, we have public and private higher education institutions, but unfortunately, private are not competitive to public for different reasons, But in Canada, all universities are independent financially, and the state doesn't try to manage these universities manually,
So they get public funds, but they're allowed to manage them.
Not only public funds, because
Student fees,
they encourage their activity, and not only public funds. They have different sources of funds, but they don't manage them manually, That is why I think we will not have good universities with enough level of quality on the international arena before our universities will be, independent financially. It's the main point, and we reach, this goal after the war, I believe. We are going on the right way, but until now, our universities are not independent financially. It's a core point, how we can develop our higher education system. But at the same time, we did a lot, within, concerning development of our higher education institutions. And I think we have our universities, we have a lot of universities who are quite successful, even on international level. But currently, it's a kind of paradox that we have weak institutions, for different reasons, but we have, strong graduates. It's interesting because our graduates, it's not only about Kyiv-Mohyla Academy, but about all Ukrainian universities are quite competitive when they continue their education abroad or when they start their career as researchers. Yeah. They're quite competitive. That is why, it's very promising, but we need to change a lot. And but the second point, besides financial independence, we need to develop our research system within the universities. We need to combine the system of National Academy of Sciences and the system of higher education, because it was divided conceptually from I believe, from the middle of 1920s. It was the Soviet concept. To control both systems, and they divided it. It means, according to Soviets, the purpose of university activity is education itself, but research, it's for another system, for the system of Academy of Sciences. It was divided.
You were not a fan of the National Academy of Sciences. Now, you had said in the book that unfortunately, after independence, that too many governments saw education as an expenditure to get whatever's left over from the budget, not an investment. Yeah. Has that changed?
To be honest, it's not changed. It's not changed according to policy because of the war. But I think that we already have some politicians who understand the importance of change the mind concerning the purpose, the goal of educational system in Ukraine, and I think some of them understand that it's that it's investment into all money that we have for educational system. It's an investment for the future. I think it is changing, and we have maybe we can speak about new generation of politicians, and we have very strong civil society in Ukraine. But civil society on the one hand, but on the other hand, we still don't have effective state. And but I believe that it's the time when everything is changing, and I'm very optimistic.
Is there one world ranking which you trust, which everybody says this is the perfect ranking?
There are some the most so-called powerful rankings, like Shanghai ranking, QS ranking, and some more at the times. But what is the problem to us? That the main point, the most important criterion within such rankings is the result of research. But
which you've emphasized,
but the structure of our universities, we have such structure that very small percentage of activity of any university devoted to research, very small. It should be changed from 2 or 5% to 60%, for instance.
Right.
But at the same time, we need to change. We need to create some new types of universities. I can compare with this idea. I can compare what I mean with liberal art colleges in United States. They don't have any research, but they pay their attention to the personal development of students. It's another kind of higher education institution, and we need to create similar institutions.
Hopefully you won't charge as much for tuition as American.
After the collapse of the Soviet Union, we still we still require from universities, from all of them, results of research. But very often it's just imitation of research. With publications in some strange journals and so on. That is why we need to establish new types of higher education institutions for the variety, with different purposes, and I think it will be a strengthening of the whole system. And of course, we need to cut the number and increase the quality of our university.
You started doing that, cutting the number and increasing the quality as education minister. We still have too many?
We still have too many. For instance, when I worked, as a minister, we closed down about 100 institutions. Right. 100. Maybe it's the most ridiculous, institutions. But we still have a lot of them. And in time of the full-scale war, we have additional problem with universities that were moved from occupied territory, temporary occupied
relocate
territories. We started to work with them in 2014,
right.
And we relocated, I believe, 18 universities, and all of them, find it, a new place and their niche in different parts of Ukraine. But currently, we have huge number of such institutions, which all of them were completely destroyed. We have completely destroyed cities and towns in Ukraine and villages. That is why they don't have any infrastructure for education and research. They don't have teachers and so on. That is why I think currently we need a special policy from the government concerning the number of institutions, because it's really huge, and I think it should be kind of a policy. It's not just it requires not just decisions of Minister of Education and Sciences, but it should be policy of the government.
But you're talking, you want to close them because they're not delivering quality education.
Yeah,
They're just delivering diplomas.
Yeah, just diploma mills,
right.
or very small and very strange, or without any quality,
Right.
without teachers and so on.
Well, I can name many, and I know you can name many more. I believe good quality universities in Ukraine. But the last time I checked, we don't show up anywhere in the international rankings very high. Is it because of is that fair or not fair?
Interesting question about participation in international rankings, because I like personally I like the European approach, because they don't have their European ranking like from the best to the worst. It's more close to the idea of marketing or something,
Right.
when you try to sell something, it's the best, it's the worst. But Europeans try to develop their own ranking with different, different ideas how you can show it, itself as the best university within different requirements. For instance, it could be what is your attitude to students, and what is it's not only about research, but it's a quality of teaching, a quality, it's different criteria, different criteria, and you could be the best in one part of this the same ranking, or could occupy a worst position in other part of the same ranking. But uniqueness of university and how you fulfill the strategy, and what is your relations and how you useful for local community, and a lot of different requirements to the same universities, and you could be could show itself as the best in some from 5 approaches. That is why I think it's an idea related to representation of higher education institution from the point of quality assurance. Because you in this case you should remember about different requirements, and different ideas. Why are you the best? It's not only research, because the main idea of the biggest rankings is research. And in fact, such universities like Stanford, Oxford, Harvard, it's huge international enterprises.
Right.
It's not only about universities, but this the system of ecosystem, ecosystem of research, ecosystem of it's ecosystem for the development of industry, new ideas, and so on.
One test is how your graduates, do they get jobs? I have to say, from my own experience, the answer is yes. I think at any time when I was the chief editor of the Kyiv Post, up to half of our staff were Kyiv-Mohyla graduates or students, and they were great for the most part. Really, really fantastic, well educated. And I didn't point out that Kyiv-Mohyla Academy has led basically all the innovations that we've had in education in Ukraine. Problem is, I couldn't afford to keep them. I mean, the salaries were very low in journalism, as you might guess, and you have that. Do you have that same problem with attracting talented professors?
Yes, of course. We have some problems with this, particularly with salaries. But coming back to your mentioning of our graduates, of course, we are proud of our graduates. And it's interesting that we have, for instance, currently we have a lot of ambassadors of Ukraine, to different countries. But at the same time, we didn't have any preparation of, for international relations. For instance, Oksana Markarova is the ambassador of Ukraine to United States, and she's a graduate of the program of ecology. We have, Ukrainian ambassador to Canada, who is graduate of our one.
Shevchenko?
No. Shevchenko, it was my student, by the way. He was journalist, but current ambassador is
also a graduate.
Yulia Kovalev. Also, she's she's economist.
Right.
One more ambassador of Ukraine to some Latin American countries like Peru, I believe Colombia, and some more. Also, our graduate, who is historian, and he belonged to the top 10 researchers of Maya culture. That is why we are proud of our graduates. But at the same time, of course, salaries in Ukrainian universities, and particularly Kyiv-Mohyla Academy, are quite low. And what we do, we, of course, Kyiv-Mohyla Academy is the most expensive Ukrainian universities. Because we have some part of our students who pay, tuition fees just for their education. We are the most expensive, and also we encourage our teachers and our PhD students in participation in different international projects, and they are very active. We encourage our teachers and students to establish their own research centers, at Kyiv-Mohyla Academy. And that is why we try to involve, some additional finances from different sources, particularly international sources, because, as I mentioned, our, relations with the state is quite,
Yes, he covered that. And one of the reasons why we have strong civil society is that we've not had always the strong state that we need. What is the future of education? Because in America, they're starting to debate, do I really need a college education? Because we have AI now, you can find a catalog of knowledge basically online anywhere. I know we're going to always need universities, thank God, but where do you see this going in the future, given all the explosion of knowledge that keeps happening?
That for Ukrainian higher education institutions, of course, we need to do a lot, and we need to borrow some ideas. First of all, I believe from United States, because of the task of obtaining of financial autonomy. It means comprehensive university autonomy, and American example is very good for us, of course. And it's our way to develop our research and to develop knowledge in different spheres. But at the same time, I think the social responsibility of universities are very important. And our universities, I believe, in the future will play, a greater role as agents of change. As it means social change in Ukraine, because
you certainly played that role at Kyiv-Mohyla Academy.
We do this.
You have any regrets about being active,
like a tribune for independent tribune for freedom of speech,
right?
And it's important that our universities must become such
part of the community.
Part of the community. And it's. I think this role will be growing.
I have to tell you that you took over from Dmytro Tabachnik. That is like ideologically, folks. This is like whiplash, because these are two opposite people. You wrote he's a Kremlin agent. That's basically, he did a lot of damage.
So he was not so danger person for the higher education system. Why? Because he was danger ideologically because he spreaded, Russian imperial narratives and so on. There is no Ukrainian people, no Ukrainian history,
Language.
no
He
Ukrainian
denigrated
language.
it.
It's absolutely ridiculous. But at the same time, we have such centralized system borrowed from the Soviet period of time that he as a minister couldn't do something, worst for something very bad for the educational system by himself. Ministry of Education and Sciences needs the support at least from the Ministry of Finances, Ministry of Economy, Minister of Justice.
So there were ways to stop
That is why, and all of them needed the support from the government. That is why he was not so dangerous for us.
Did you have conflict, or you just avoided him?
Yeah. No. I believe that we had 3 cases in the court, and we became finally winners in all cases against Tabachnik. And also when he was appointed to this position, I published my public appeal to academic community against Dmitro Tabachnik, and he was absolutely ridiculous person, even among people who belonged to the ruling party at that time. Some of them hated Tabachnik. That is why it's absolutely. But what is interesting? What was the most interesting in such situation? He was supported by Russian Orthodox Church. It's really interesting for
Which
me.
are Kremlin agents.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And you served a president who was guilty of plagiarism in his own degree.
Not only degree in some publications that was, we knew such publications as publications of the president, but of course it was prepared.
Those are the times. It was interesting to read. You said that the Soviet education was not so bad in some areas, like research, and you said there was actually more plagiarism in independent Ukraine in the 90s than Soviet.
The plagiarism was not a tool for development of professional career in the Soviet period of time. You're right, absolutely, because it was kind of conspiracy between Communist Party.
The planes have to fly, the bombs have to explode.
Absolutely. But at the same time, the ghostwriting was very popular in the Soviet Union. Ghostwriting.
Oh yes.
Like today, but today in different different way. It's very dangerous, even for the Western system. Ghostwriting. I believe that British, were the most successful. They changed their legislation against, and against the ghostwriting. But I think that in the Soviet period of time, they stole everything that they could.
Externally,
externally.
Are we long gone? Is plagiarism not a big problem? And do we have universal external admission standards across the country? Academic quality is everything generally rising? Because they're connected. If you like higher education and lower education, if you have bad lower education, you're not going to get good students.
We still have plagiarism as a problem for Ukraine, but it is going down, I think, last years, because of big activity of our public persons, who are activists in this sphere, because of some decisions of the government, because of activity of the National Agency for Higher Education Quality Assurance. And currently, by the way, our parliament is considering a special law, on academic integrity. That is why, it is going down.
So we're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Unfortunately...
But ghostwriting and some other problems are still very dangerous and damaging for the system.
And AI is giving fits to educators, too. I know we got to wrap up, but you said you saw this invasion coming. You wrote that. And I believe you're right, because you outlined...
From the childhood.
Yeah, you outlined... You made it clear we have plenty of history and plenty of values and plenty of culture. It's just that it gets ignored sometimes by the West, and it gets drowned out by Russian narratives, imperial narratives. all of this is academic, education reform, academic, if we don't win the war. Do you see any reason to believe we are not going to emerge from this more strong and we're going to win?
You mean we...
Ukraine is going to win this war so that we can get on with educating our students and do you have any doubt?
In time of the war, we have a lot of achievements, formal achievements with what our government did or our Ministry of Education and Sciences did. But the most important is that our society is changing the mind concerning a lot of,
we're going to make a clean break. I think you referred to your grandmother saying World War II, that war clarifies everything.
Yes,
we will never have a pro-Russian narrative here.
Particularly, it's not only about narratives, because I think maybe it sounds strange for you, but Russian narratives were much more successful for the West, not for Ukraine. Because Putin for Ukraine, for the most of Ukrainians, was completely ridiculous person, with his narratives. But there are some additional important questions, like issues related to Ukrainian language. What kind of preparation of our students we had previously, because we have a lot of percentage. We had a lot of for instance, books from Russian literature. Why? From Russian literature, because we needed maybe to know more text from Ukrainian literature, from literature of some European or some American countries. That is why it is changing. But I think the issue of language is very important.
Of course, and you made that very clear. And I think we won. Are we going to win this war eventually?
Yeah, absolutely. We will win this war, and we get back all our territories. Of course, I absolutely convinced.
I'm going to have you on again. We barely scratched the surface. He's President Sergei Kvit, longtime Kyiv-Mohyla Academy, one of our best universities in the nation and with a great reputation. And the book is Media, History, and Education. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Brian.
And for the rest of you, we'll see you next week on Ukraine Calling. Have a great week.